call to order this meeting of Stillwater Area Public Schools, District 834, for October 7th, 2021. Joan, can you please take the roll?
Director Hackert.
Here.
Director Porbeni. Director Riley.
Here.
Director Sherman.
Here.
Chair Petrie.
Here.
You have quorum.
Thank you. I make a motion to adjourn to closed session pursuant to Minnesota Statutes 13D.05 subdivision 3B to discuss or consider offers for the purchase or sale of real properties. The properties are identified as 10158 122nd Street North, Hugo, Minnesota 55038, the former Withrow Elementary School property. Is there a second? Director Sherman. All those in favor of adjourning to closed session, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay. I know, right?
See it for the first time this weekend? I did. I bought the house stock after seeing it.
Ready? Okay, we are reconvening now after our closed session. The next item on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Director Hockert, can you read the mission statement, please?
The mission of Stillwater Area Public Schools, in partnership with students, family, and community, is to develop curious individuals who are active and engaged leaders in an ever-changing world by challenging all students as they travel along their personalized learning pathways.
Thank you. Director Riley, can you read the board goals, please?
In partnership with community, parents, and students, the School Board of Stillwater Area Public Schools ensures excellence in education by increasing student achievement for all students, securing long-term financial stability of the district, increasing community trust and engagement.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda? Director Sherman?
I actually would like to make a motion to amend the agenda, and if I can get a second, I can explain.
We probably need the motion first, and then you can amend.
Oh, okay, I will,
right.
yes, I can do that.
Is there a second? Director Porbani, your amendment?
Yes, I would like to remove reports C and D. I can explain, if I can get a second on that motion, I guess.
Okay, is there a second? Director Porbani.
So for me, I know we have a community survey going on, and for me, open forum is, I want to hear what the community says before we really have any kind of robust discussion on any policy that would stem from it. So I guess I would like to have that finished, have the data presented to the board, and send it back to policy for just a thorough look. It's just open forum. Hearing from the community is probably the most important thing we do, one of the most important things, and so I want to be, I don't want to start this work without having their feedback first.
Okay, any other discussion? Director Hockert.
I'll jump in. Thank you, Director Sherman. And Director Sherman did reach out to me earlier today with her concerns about wanting to wait until we did have some more community feedback. And I very much appreciate that she was able to give me the heads up that she didn't quite feel ready to bring this to the board table. I was excited to bring this forward and to start this discussion, but in lieu of the hesitation and possibly other thoughts from board members, I'm open to tabling this or amending the agenda for now and reconvening this at another day.
Okay, anything else? All right, all those in favor of the amendment to delete items, reports C and D, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Okay, motion carries. All right, next on our agenda,
Director Riley has a question.
Director Riley?
I do have a question on this. We didn't approve the agenda as is, correct? We just removed?
Right.
Okay. I have a question, and I'm not sure it's because it's on the agenda, if I direct you down to the attachment. I don't know, because this is included in our board packet, I have a question on the Finance and Operations Committee notes, and basically what is required of those notes is omitted, and who is in attendance to the meeting. I know we don't have a treasurer or a chair, and no discussion has happened, and I was wondering if we could get an attendance added
That is
to
my
those
bad.
notes.
I was doing the notes for the first time from Director Aachen, so I will update that I'll update
We
that.
know who was in attendance, so
Yes,
it's on
it
record?
was myself, and help me, Superintendent Lansfeld, Mr. Drummerhausen, Director Drummerhausen. I'd have to look back at my notes. Sorry, I don't have my handwritten notes here. Whatever was discussed on the agenda. That was it, right? Was John there? Were you there? I'm sorry, John. I have it back in my notes at home and I can update that. And I'll make sure to make note of that on future minutes. My bad.
Okay, thank you. Next item on our agenda is the oath of office.
Did you approve the agenda yet?
Did we
No.
approve the agenda? Oh, okay, all right. All those in favor of approving the agenda as amended, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Now we move on to the oath of office, and thank you for catching that, soon-to-be Director Kunze. Director Kunze was chosen to fill a vacancy, and he will be here until the results of the election have been certified and a new director has been elected on November 2nd. So with that, it is an honor that you were selected to guide the education of our community's children. As you recite the oath of office, you assume a tremendous responsibility as a director of our school district with the duties empowered by the Minnesota legislature. This power puts you and the other members of our school board in the position of being both morally and legally responsible for equitable, quality education of every student in the district. In carrying out this responsibility, you will be asked to fulfill the roles of vision, structure, accountability, and advocacy. In providing vision, the board, with extensive participation of the community, envisions the community's educational future and then formulates the goals, defines the outcomes, and sets the course for the public schools. To achieve the vision, the board establishes a structure and creates an environment designed to ensure all students the opportunity to attain their maximum potential through a sound organizational framework. Because as a board, we must be accountable to the community, we must ensure a continuous assessment of student achievement and all conditions affecting the education of our children. As board members, we serve as education's key advocate on behalf of students and our community schools to advance the vision for our schools. Furthermore, we must strive to work together with the superintendent and staff to lead the district toward fulfilling the vision we have created, fostering excellence for every student in the areas of academic skills and knowledge, citizenship, and personal development. Next part is yours.
All right, stand, right?
Yeah.
Hand in
bet.
the air?
All right, let's do it.
Having signed the acceptance of office and oath of office, I hereby publicly affirm my commitment to the oath of office. I affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of this state, and that I will discharge faithfully the duties of the office of school board member of Independent School District number 834 to the best of my judgment and ability.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And welcome to the school board. Okay. Next on our agenda are the student reports. So who is going to go first tonight?
I will be going first. Just to report on some extracurricular things. We had the virtual academic lettering ceremony. 637 students at Stillwater High School earned a 3.7 GPA and above, and 117 out of that 637 earned a 4.0 unweighted GPA. And then we had our homecoming week last week, which was like a big success. We had Paint the Town Red, which a lot of student groups went to go decorate different businesses. We had the soccer teams, football teams, and different clubs participate in that. And then we had our Pep Fest on Friday, which was super fun. We had the homecoming royalty candidate dances, and we had Mr. Bach go against some varsity football players in a hot dog eating contest. And it went really well. And then we obviously won the homecoming game, which is awesome. And that was against Osseo. And then we had our dance, which I think our student council administrator, Dusty Dennis, said was the biggest probably in 10 years. We had over 1,000 students attend the outdoor dance. It was really fun. I was the DJ, so. And then our homecoming king and queen were Veda Roski and Dallas Denning, seniors. And then we have our boys and girls soccer senior nights tonight. Varsity is playing. It's our last home game of the regular season for soccer. And then we have tomorrow night is the last varsity football game of the regular season. It's also senior night, and it's against Forest Lake. And currently we're 5-0, so go Ponies.
And then for the academic portion, we had 3 of our students be recognized by College Board for academic excellence. We've had a couple clubs start up this week. We have a new one called HOSA, stands for Health Occupation Students of America. It's an international organization started by our junior Shania Youssef, and it's the first one at the school. It's part of the Pathways program, which will open up more career options for students. It targets like medical field interests, so that's pretty cool. Then we've also had a feminism club started by Sophia Peaton and Eliza Weston. We have a weeding project going on in the library, and that's basically just like donating old and unused books and then making room for new English class sets for English curriculum. And then I think that's it. So yeah.
Oh, and last thing, I would like to recognize all the other student council members who worked very hard these first weeks of school to make sure that homecoming went really, really spectacular. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much for that report. And of course, the burning question is, who won the hot dog eating contest?
I can't say that Mr. Bach won, but he tried his best.
It was Sean Panetta, if any of you guys know him.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, we move on to the superintendent report.
Thank you, Chair Petrie and board directors. And just real quick, welcome, Amelia. I know this is your first meeting. You had, I believe, a tennis match during the last board meeting, and we're glad to have you as well, Sophia, for your second meeting. Great job. Some of the hardest working people in our district are our custodians, building engineers, and technology staff. So it seems fitting that these incredible employees are the first to be recognized this school year with their own special appreciation days. National IT Professional Day was on September 21st, and the School Custodian Appreciation Day was on October 2nd. So please take a moment to thank your building's custodians and IT staff for all that they do. Every time you walk into a building and it's just shiny, I think when things look better, you feel better. When you feel better, you do better, and they do such an outstanding job, as well as all of our IT and tech people assisting students and families and staff each and every day. Longtime girls and boys swimming coach Brian Luke is being inducted into the Minnesota State High School League Hall of Fame. Since 1978, Luke has led the Ponies to dozens of championships while leading nearly 200 All-Americans. Luke is a member of numerous coaching halls of fame and has been selected Minnesota's swimming coach of the year 5 times. Congratulations. The high school's College and Career Center specialist, Amy Carr, was presented with the Impact Influencer Award by the U.S. Navy. The award highlights Carr's work in setting up classroom presentations and visits, college and career day coordination, and overall guidance to students. And do you know a child who is struggling? Returning to in-person learning has been a challenge for some of our students this year. And this has been more than a year of online and hybrid learning. And for a lot of our students, and it's taken an emotional, mental, and developmental toll. We're working hard to build connections with our students. We're identifying those who are struggling, and we want to provide additional support to help them succeed. So please reach out to a teacher, principal, counselor, social worker if you have concerns about your child. 3 Stillwater area high school students have been honored by the College Board National Recognition Program. They are among just 32,000 students from across the country to earn the academic honors. The following students were recognized for their exceptional academic achievements and outstanding performance on the AP exam and in the classroom. We have Priya Porbini, College Board National African American Recognition Program Scholar. We have Tare Porbini, College Board National African American Recognition Program Scholar, and Ava Roots, College Board National Hispanic Recognition Program Scholar. The awards are proof of our students' hard work and superior performance, which is even more remarkable in the face of a particularly challenging year. Congratulations. I think we have a proud parent that's a member of our board with these recognitions. Also, earlier today, I was able to gather with the Lower St. Croix Valley Community Foundation to celebrate the completion and dedication of a new picnic shelter and picnic tables at Afton Lakeland Elementary School. The shelter and tables are the latest complimentary facility to the recently reconstructed Lower St. Croix Valley Bike Trail, and we would like to thank them for this wonderful addition to our school and our community, and I plan on trying it out in the next couple of weekends, and just found out we have pickleball lines at the tennis courts adjacent to them. So thank you so much. That was a huge endeavor and a lot of community support for that. As our student reps mentioned, we had homecoming. I was there for the game in the carnival, and it was just a magical night, and it was amazing and heartwarming to see students and families from one end of our district to the other, and to see how much they've grown and what they've been doing. It was just a sea of black and red and white and pony pride. And Principal Bach, I heard, was able to double his hot dog eating this year, and he's getting close to winning, so we'll check that out next year. So on Friday, it seemed, on a homecoming Friday, it seemed the whole community was dressed up and ready to go. Thousands of kids and adults turned out for an afternoon of pregame fun and food. It was the 4th annual Pony Homecoming Carnival. They bounced in inflatables, played games, and posed for selfies with Big Red. And the Ponies football team capped off the night, beating Osseo 42-20. It's quite a football season this year. And thank you again to all of our sponsors and volunteers who made that pregame carnival possible, as well as our director, Carissa Keister, and her team put in countless hours to make that happen for our families. And last note, it's a great news today. We just received confirmation from our attorney that the CUP conditional use permits have now been satisfied by the city of Lake Elmo, and the district may begin to occupy our bus terminal. So that's great news.
Okay, thank you, Superintendent Lansfeld. The next is the board chair report. I have 2 items for tonight. Number 1, we have begun contract negotiations with SCEA, the teachers union, for the 2021-2023 contract. At this point, we are creating a meeting schedule. In the next few weeks, we may discuss contract language that does not have any financial impacts. Next month, the board will have a closed meeting to set financial parameters for the contract. Katie Hockert and I are the board members who are joining the administration team in negotiations for this current contract. Number 2, at the last board meeting on September 23rd, 2021, I asked the audience members to put their campaign signs to the side in order to be as respectful as possible to all in attendance. I was operating on what I understood to be longstanding practice that the district has not allowed campaigning on school district property. In the past, Oak Park Heights Police have enforced such restrictions. At the most recent meeting in September, the Stillwater Police made a different determination of what is allowed. As a result, following that meeting, we asked our attorneys to research whether a board can prohibit signs at its meetings, and this is what they advised. Number 1, it is legal for the district to enact a ban on signs in order to have orderly board meetings. The ban cannot discriminate based on viewpoint. In other words, we would have to ban all signs, not just those that are political or campaigning for some individual or issue. Number 2, the school district does not have to allow all speech on its property, and therefore, even without a specific policy, it can ban signs at board meetings. The district does not currently have a sign ban in our policies. If the board wants to consider a ban on signs at its meetings, one process would be for the policy working group to research and consider it. They should hear from the community. And if they think a ban is something for the board to consider, they should bring a recommendation to the full board for discussion. This is what I am asking the policy group to do. I do not have a formal position on whether such a ban is necessary or even a good idea, but I believe we all want board meetings to be respectful and productive, and we need to bring clarity to this situation. Thank you. All right. Next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. Under that, we have item A is minutes of September 23rd closed session. B is minutes of September 23rd business meeting. C is disbursement register. D is Brookview Elementary student lockers. And E is human resources personnel report. Can I get a motion to accept I'm sorry, Director Riley, did you want to pull
Like
something?
to pull C, please?
C?
Disbursement
Okay.
Yep, disbursement register.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve items A, B, D, and E?
I'll move.
Okay, Director Hockert, is there a second?
I'll second.
Director Kunze? All those in favor of approving those items, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Director Riley?
Thank you. Are you mic'd up over there? Are you mic'd up? Okay. I have a question on disbursement register, page 15. I have sent these in prior, like I was asked to do so, and asked for the information back. I didn't get all the information back on Forbes Solutions. I have an expenditure of $3,750. I was also asking for the total of what the district had spent on Forbes Solution to date.
I have all of the POs present, and the POs are listed. There's 6 different POs and checks, and the total is $73,820.
Are we finished with Ms. Forbes now? Yeah? It's a lot more than the 35,000. Can we go to page 25? I have just kind of one under 351413 book source. It's for classroom library, $3,694.88.
I'd have to find the PO on that.
Well, I have the check number.
Check. What page was that? I'm sorry.
25. I kind of just want to point out there was 644 books in this,
Yes. Okay.
this PO. And so the district purchased all of the library for, I believe it was first grade, which I think is pretty awesome, right? So it went all the way from all the different sections and capabilities letters and so on. When the classroom does that purchase, does that come out of the general fund, the building fund? How does that work?
The POs are generated by the program and
Yeah.
signed off by the administrator.
Okay.
So if it was for a building, or it would be a building that would be a building PO by a principal who would
Okay.
sign off. If it was a program that was through teaching and learning, then it would be signed off either by Dr. Cherry or Dr. Booth. Is that right? Yeah.
Okay.
And I do have all the POs, and I can provide all those. I did bring them along.
I did get those. I was just curious on the way that the funding,
The process?
the funding went through either the building itself or through the curriculum department.
All of the requisitions go, and they come to the business office. Each of the requisitions has to be signed off by an administrator with the authority to do it. And each year I present that to the board program-wise so that they know who is responsible for that particular budget area. It goes to the business office, it's reviewed by business staff. I sign off on it at the end to make sure that there are funds available to do it, to cover the purchase. and then it's approved, and then payroll pays the bill, or accounts payable pays the bill.
Right, okay. And the final thing, I just want to thank you and Mark and your department for adjusting in finance too, because they have to do all of the input, for adjusting the descriptions to show the information that I need for projects and being able to give those approvals. So thank you for making that adjustment. I appreciate it. I really do. That's all. I move to, if nobody else has any questions, move to approve the disbursement register.
Is there a second? Director Sherman? All those in favor of approving the disbursement register, raise your hand, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
I'm going to abstain.
You're going to abstain. Okay, thank you. One abstention. Motion passes. All right, we move on to action items. We just have one action item tonight, the board vacancy by appointment. This is an appointment to fill the seat that was most recently held by Director Matt Onken. He resigned, and so we interviewed people on Tuesday night, 3 candidates. And what we are going to do tonight is vote for our preferences. Directors, you have this ballot, I think, in your packet. And I want you to go ahead and vote for your, in rank order. So in other words, number 3 is your top choice, number 2 is your second choice, and number 1 is your third choice. I know that sounds complicated, but then we get to the point where the most votes is the person who comes out on top. So if you can go do that now and then and sign it and give it to Joan, then we will be able to.
Did we all get that?
This should be in your packet.
Got it.
Yeah.
Chair Petrie? Are
Yes.
we going to have any discussion before voting on the candidates?
I mean, yeah, I think that while they're, figuring out who is the top vote getter, we can have discussion on it if you
But
want.
by that time, the
Because
votes
I
are-
also wanted to just inform the community about what the schedule is for how this is all going to work, so. Thank you. Okay, so, just wanted to inform the community that the way this works is that after we appoint someone, there needs to be a 30-day period, just in case there are anyone in the community who wants to object to it. And so the schedule then is that, all right, so where are we? Okay, so we're going to appoint the successor by resolution at our board meeting tonight. And then the 30-day period for petition is up on November 8th, which means that the first board meeting that person would participate in is on November 18th. And that would also be the time that we would administer the oath of office. We're not going to do we're going to wait for the resolution, but I can open it up to the floor now for any sort of discussion if anyone has anything that they would like to say about this. Director Kunze.
Okay, so I want to make sure that everybody is aware that I was able to review the applications, the cover letters, the resumes. I watched the interviews a couple of times, which is why I feel comfortable in voting tonight on who's going to replace Director Onken. I'd like to thank all 3 of the candidates for applying for the board position. Being a recent candidate myself, I know it's tough to get up there in front of everybody and answer those questions. It takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of soul searching to get that done. I was disappointed to find out that one of the candidates tried to deceive us. One of the candidates said she was pro-levy, pro-public education, and supported this district. I did some research on my own. found some Facebook posts, found some other things that, that existed out in the wild, and found out that what she was telling us in the interview, or I guess you guys, I was watching it on TV, was not the truth. It's not how she feels, or one of the two is not how she feels. I don't know which one it is. Because of that, I could not vote for Director Bowen at all. Or I'm sorry, not Director, Kelly Bowen at all. At this point, I didn't know what to do with that because I just felt that I was being deceived, and I did not appreciate that at all.
Any other discussion? Director Riley?
I guess I would just caution some of those statements because I think it's conjecture. I'm not sure if you know how this person feels, and publicly stating things that is a personal issue for someone might not be completely accurate. We don't know how everyone feels. I don't know on the inside, into everyone's hearts and souls. So I like to say that I appreciated everybody that came that day. I know it is hard, and it's a big commitment to step up and step into this environment especially. And so thank everybody for coming. I absolutely appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, well, I do have the results. Sorry,
sorry.
Director Sherman.
I too would like to thank all the candidates, but I think more importantly, and I'm being new to the board myself, I would love to maybe, and I know it's a low priority and hopefully we never have to do this again, but it would be interesting to just look at the process and make sure maybe how we can tweak the process to get more information from the candidates and have a more robust discussion. I know we kind of do it because we've always done it this way, but perhaps it's something long-term to look at. But I appreciate everyone as well.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? All right, these are the results of the voting, and I will just say what each director voted. Katie Hockert's first choice was Vivian Vodova, followed by David Taylor, followed by Kelly Bowen. Chris Kunze voted, his top choice was Vivian Vodova, followed by David Taylor, and no vote for the third one. My vote was, my first choice was Vivian, followed by David Taylor, followed by Kelly Bowen. Director Porbini, first choice was Vivian, followed by David Taylor, followed by Kelly. Director Riley, first choice was Kelly Bowen, followed by David Taylor, followed by Vivian. And Allison Sherman, her top choice was Vivian, followed by David Taylor, followed by Kelly Bowen. So the top vote getter was Vivian Vodova. I want to congratulate Vivian, and I also would just like to thank all of the candidates who came forward. This is, if you're watching our school board meetings, if you're seeing what's happening nationally, it might not be the most enticing of volunteer positions to take on, and so I do truly appreciate that we had 3 candidates willing to do this. And I thought they were all good candidates, and I'm sorry that we just had to choose one. I'm now going to read the resolution. I move for adoption of the following resolution. Whereas on September 17th, 2021, the School Board of Independent School District Number 834 declared a vacancy to exist on the school board following the resignation of board member Matt Onken. And whereas the vacant position expires on the first Monday in January 2025, and whereas in this circumstance, Minnesota Statute 123B.09 Subdivision 5B requires the school board to appoint an individual by resolution to serve in the vacant position until an individual is elected by special election to be held no later than November 8th, 2022. And whereas the school board has completed the process to consider applicants to serve in the vacant school board position, and whereas the school board has determined that Vivian Vodova is an individual who is eligible and qualified to serve in the vacant position until a successor is elected by special election at the time of the next general election. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the School Board of Independent School District Number 834 that Vivian Vodova is hereby appointed to fill the vacant position and serve on the school board until a special election is held and a successor qualifies for office. The appointment shall be effective on the 31st day following this resolution, absent receipt of a valid petition rejecting the appointee in compliance with the requirements under Minnesota Statute 123B.09, subdivision 5BB. Is there a second? Director Porbaney. Joan, can you call the roll?
Director Hackard,
Yes.
Director Coonsey,
Yes.
Director Porbenny,
Yes.
Director Riley,
Yes.
Director Sherman,
Yes.
Did you
and
say?
Chair Petrie, I'm sorry.
Yes.
You unanimous vote.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to reports now. First one is Child Care Stabilization Grant. Director
Thank you.
Salmon.
Good evening, Chair Petrie, Superintendent Lansfeld, and members of the school board. Thank you for this opportunity to share some exciting news. We recently learned that the state has created new grants which will allow us to pay child care employees working directly with students an additional amount per hour through the June of 2023. We are excited to dedicate these grant dollars towards the essential workers within our Adventure Club program. The pandemic has taught us just how important child care workers are in making our society function. Unfortunately, in order to keep child care affordable for the families that need it, the industry is made up of low-wage positions. To compound this issue, children are in school and only need childcare before and after school. So our positions are predominantly part-time, which of course does not include health and dental benefits, and are limited to the early and late hours of the day. So it is no surprise that we are struggling to find people to fill these positions. We're hopeful that by increasing the income of our child care workers through this grant, we will attract additional employees. We're also thrilled that the grant will help us provide additional resources to the employees we already have. At this time, we are not exactly certain what the amount will be, but it appears that at least for the short term, it would be an additional $1.50 to $1.75 per hour. Employees will experience a monthly grant payment which based on the hours they worked in the previous funding period. Unlike a stipend, this amount will fluctuate based on the number of hours and the total funding received for each funding period. This grant will also provide a small amount of funds to stabilize the program. Although it will not be anything near the $1 million that was spent to provide emergency childcare, every little bit helps. This conversation around the economics of childcare has been a topic well before the pandemic hit. We realize that extraordinary measures will have to be taken in order to attract and retain qualified employees. Fortunately, we have the opportunity to do something about this at no cost to the families and without further exacerbating the financial hit that the Adventure Club program experienced this last year. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Director Coonsey.
How many workers are we short right now?
Well, that's an excellent question. We have about 150 students on our waiting list. We typically run a ratio of 12-to-1, but it doesn't work out perfectly that way because just like our schools, you might have 4 students at one school and 25 students at another, and adding a staff person for 4 students looks different than adding staff for 25, so it's not a perfect match. Yes.
Director Riley.
What is the plan after 23, phasing out of this? Do we have a long-term approach?
Well, as you know, the school board considers pay increases for our employee groups every 2 years. And this particular group is on the off cycle, I would call it. I don't know if there's a better term for it. But that ultimately the school board would have the opportunity to consider whether they wanted to make adjustments to try and make up that difference. starting after that time frame, or that amount would go away, and then those employees would experience their typical pay. So we're not changing their rate of pay, we're
Okay.
adding a
And
grant
that's
amount.
out of community ed budget or general fund?
Correct, is out of the community education budget.
Thank you.
Director Hockert.
Thank you. Just a clarification, is this grant intended for attracting people to the positions, or is it intended as a retro pay to compensate people who've been working throughout the pandemic?
Right.
How does
So
that work?
It's a stabilization grant, so it's truly actually about stabilizing childcare from the perspective of trying to get people attracted to it, as well as retain them, right? So it's kind of it's not looking back, it's looking at our current circumstances and going forward, right? That it would not be applied to those individuals that worked over the last year and a half. There is another legislative action out there that could potentially provide some additional funds for those individuals, but this is not that.
Quick follow-up on that. So, well, first of all, have we been able to retain staff over the past year and a half, or have we lost quite a few?
Right. I don't know the exact turnover rate. I could certainly find that out for you. We have lost staff. We have regular turnover. The last time we did our research, it was at about a 70% turnover. And that was when we approached the board and asked for an increase, an unusual increase of $1.39. We have not researched it since, but we certainly could look at that again.
Thank you.
You had mentioned that the increase that you hope to give is somewhere between $1 and $2. Can you tell me what the average pay rate is right now?
The starting wage is $15.23 per hour. I can't say for certain what the average rate of pay is. I believe it tops out in the $19-ish an hour, $20-ish an hour, though.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, it
Okay.
does. Thank you. Director Sherman.
So all districts have access to this.
Yes, correct.
And so it's not really a differentiation in terms of what we're doing.
Right. There is one caveat. In order for a school district program to apply for it, they do have to be certified,
Okay.
and our programs are all certified.
And then just one other follow-up. Has this been communicated to staff at this point, and how is that communicated? Because it does have that expiration date, I guess is.
Right. So we began our communications today to let them know so that if they had the opportunity to watch the meeting, they could see this discussion. But that we'll be communicating further with them as we go, as we learn a little bit more. As we apply for it, part of our uncertainty is that when we submit the information, then they'll tell us how much money we will ultimately receive. And so there's not, until we get a month under our belt or a funding period under our belt, we're not exactly certain in what to expect from it.
Okay. So they are aware of the end date on it. And
Yes, that this will go through June of 2023.
and I guess just one last general comment that, it's nice to be able to do this for those people who work so hard in our schools, so.
Correct. Agreed.
Director Riley.
I know it's early in the year, and jumping into one-time funding is always kind of nerve-wracking for me. But looking at the community ed budget now, it's been a hard period here with COVID, and that, are we starting to recover? What is that looking like? And projection-wise, do we look like, we could absorb raises in a couple of years?
That's an excellent question. I think it's too soon to know. We have been preparing for the revised budget, and so we've been looking at our current circumstances, trying to project out what we expect for this year. It's really hard for us to project much beyond that at this point, just simply because we are still in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah, okay. Participation in
It is up.
preschool
Yes.
and programs is all starting. Does it feel like we're hitting normal again?
It does.
All right, thank you.
Director Parbani.
Thank you, Chair Petrie. Selman, thank you.
Absolutely.
So childcare stabilization, that's one group that a lot of people don't appreciate that much, especially with respect to the kind of work they do. And they take care of our kids in the district. You know, we parents always cry about not having childcare, but it never recognized. So thank you for this. Can you tell us what the implications are? Can you tell us what the implications are if we don't get the amounts we're looking for?
Really, the implication would be that they would not receive the additional funds that could be available to them.
And what will the impact be?
For those individuals, they would not lose any of their current rate of pay. They would continue to receive the salary that they were, or the wage that they were hired at. So nothing would change in that way. They just wouldn't get this extra opportunity that is being made available across the state.
Morale might be a bit low.
Say
They'll
that
keep
ag- no,
working,
yeah,
but morale might be a bit low.
Absolutely, I would think so.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for coming to tell us about, this is really good news. I mean, I'm sure that everyone here really appreciates the fact that we are able to pay our employees a little bit more. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have the transportation update, and that's Superintendent Lansfeld.
Hey, thank you, Chair Petrie and Board Directors. This is just a quick update and reminders on transportation. So we do have a plan. We are currently prioritizing our routes, and the busing may not be available for students living within 2 miles of their school, and busing may not be available for all of our GATE students at Gift and Talented Education at the Stillwater Middle School. We are currently looking at bus loads and trying to compact the students' routes, and we're going to be creating new neighborhood hubs. So students might have to walk a little bit further to their hubs, but we'll be able to fill up the buses. We are also continuing to recruit new drivers, and as drivers become available, we have probably beginning to prioritize all of our routes within the 2 miles and looking at all of the road conditions where students live and their needs. And right now, priority 1 is all of the students that are living with are outside of 2 miles. That's required by statute, as well as other students that might have needs. They might have disabilities. That's required by law as well, and then some other needs. So because of the state statute, we are moving that out to the 2 miles as the top priority. The second priority will be students within the 2 miles and others who do not have statutory rights to transportation. But we are very hopeful as more bus drivers are hired that we will be able to go within the 2 miles and cover that as much as possible. So families within the 2 miles, that is a no bus zone, and we're asking families to find an alternative to transportation. We will continue to meet to see how we can support families. Okay. Also, real quick before I discuss the timeline, I am working with a group of superintendents across the metro area, and we've been able to meet with the governor's office twice now and Commissioner Heather Mueller from the Department of Ed, and we are working very hard to try and find long-term solutions to this issue because we don't think that this is going to go away anytime soon, and we really want to support our students and our bus drivers through this and see what we can do to improve it for our families. So we do have a timeline. 2 weeks ago on September 24th, we did inform all families that were living within the 2 miles that busing may not be available. And coming up on Wednesday, October 27th, we will be providing families with all of the new bus routes with the pickup and drop-off times. Please note that most of these will be changing because, again, we're compacting routes to make them more efficient and to be able to fill up all of our buses. And then on Wednesday, November 3rd, we will implement the new routes. And this will give our bus drivers a little bit of time during that notification period. And when we start, we do have a PD day earlier that week, so, and a day off for grading. for our teachers, so the drivers will have the opportunity to practice the routes before we start implementation. So we are, again, trying to recruit drivers. If anybody knows someone that's interested, please have them go to the MTN website. You can connect on our website to that site and can apply. We will also explore options for district staff to also drive buses. We might be able to shift some of our employee groups' hours earlier or later to see if anyone's interested in that, which would be a great opportunity for some people. And then continuing to meet with state and education officials to see what we can do for a long-term solution. And as well, we will continue to look at our routes. And please note that if a student has not been on a bus for 10 days in a row, they might be dropped from the list, so we can continue to compact those routes. And we do appreciate all of the families that have the resources and availability to transport their own children and have opted out of the bus to provide more room for students that don't have that resource. Okay. And with that, I'm open to questions.
Okay, thank you very much. And yes, and I just wanted to point out that our transportation company is paying $25 an hour for our bus drivers. So please spread the word. We just really need more bus drivers. Director Hockert.
Thank you, Chair Petrie. I believe the last time we had this presentation, we kind of came to the realization that this option for rerouting buses doing the hubs, we still possibly would be short buses. So I'm kind of wondering why we're continuing on this route when we had the option to change times as well. If you could just kind of speak to that rationale and kind of what the plan is for
Yes,
making up
we
the
should be able to provide transportation for all students now outside of the 2 miles. And we are very hopeful that we do have some new bus drivers in training that will be coming on board. We're trying to firm up numbers on that, but we are very hopeful that the more bus drivers we have, the more routes that we can cover during this time. We met with, we heard, and I'm sure you heard too, from a lot of families that changing the time, the start time for schools will be really, really disruptive to families. And we also met with our leadership team and building principals. They did agree. But continuing to monitor this, we'll have to see what plans for next year, possibly changing some times and giving families plenty of notice for that. But we'll see how this goes, and we're really hoping we can provide a lot of support and transportation for our kids coming up. But we know this is not easy. There's not a quick fix, and we know that this is a real hardship on a lot of our families.
Is it still helpful for families to opt out at this point if they haven't done so already, or is?
Yes, it would be very helpful. And again, as I mentioned, we are going to continue to monitor the routes. And some people have seen some buses driving around that have been somewhat empty because families have opted out or have not opted out. And so we'll be tracking that. And after 10 days, we will be possibly taking them off the list to fill those buses up. We want the buses full.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Director Sherman.
Is there any additional recruiting efforts that MTN is making, or are they aware that we're now able to move on our new property and the location? You know, we had been told it's on 94. It's more convenient for perhaps more appealing to applicants. Are they aware that we're?
That news just came out this morning,
Okay.
so we still need to connect. But I am very hopeful with the location of our bus garage just off of 94 that hopefully will attract people from the metro area, the cities to come in, because that's a pretty quick
Right.
route.
Director Kunze.
Thank you. So a couple of weeks ago when you were talking about this, you said the option that you ultimately went with left no wiggle room for sick drivers or anything like that. Has that been remedied, or are we still in that situation?
We received information from our transportation vendor that some new bus drivers have been hired and that some are in training. And so we'll get numbers on that and firm it up, but we should have some more routes that we'll be able to run. And then our routers from CISO, they need time and really to try and compact this and really see how creative they can be. And usually what takes 3 months to do, we're trying to do in a matter of weeks. So I am really hopeful that they will work really hard to come up with some routes that can make it work.
Who needs sleep, right?
Yes, they're working diligently to get that done.
Director Sherman?
Can you explain to the community a little bit about what we are able to do and what we aren't able to do? You know, maybe some efforts going on behind the scenes in terms of walking safety. I'm worried about our schools and some of the locations. And then also what the process is for getting routes, how you'll be prioritizing once we do get these drivers, you know, hopefully, and we can start adding back the less than 2 mile routes.
Yeah, we've already started to prioritize routes, and so CISO has those. They will be working on them, and we're hopeful that we'll be able to start to cover those. We'll know more towards the end of October. We really need to give them some time. And again, as noted, this is a no bus zone within the 2 miles. It's not a walking zone, it's a no bus zone. So we have been asking families to find alternative transportation. We will be meeting with our building leaders and reaching out to families with some, hopefully some type of support. But being able to cover everything with crossing guards, we are still short bus drivers, we're short childcare, we're short a lot of positions, and this is not only our district but across the state. So we'll continue to look at this, but at this time they are no bus zones.
Just to follow up really quick, are you reaching out at all to cities or municipalities that might see additional, I mean, I suppose we're driving people now that are further out due to the state mandate, so it might not be an increased amount of traffic, but for any kind of traffic concerns?
Yeah, all of our police departments will be notified after we get the routes, but even though they're very helpful and willing to help out, you cannot guarantee that they can be there, because if they get a call, they're gone, and then that's a safety issue if they're not there.
Director Riley?
Can you speak to the transportation reimbursement conversation that we had last meeting, just for community members?
Yeah, we've looked at that, and we have decided at this time we're not doing that, but we will continue to explore it.
Is there a reason?
Yeah, and I don't know, can you explain just a little bit about the transportation reimbursement?
Reimbursement, really, the issue is it's not difficult to do it, it's the quantity and the quality. Because if the number of students apply, 2,000 kids each month, you'd have to go through a voucher process to make sure that they're all reimbursed. It would be almost very difficult, and you'd probably irritate them more than the money would satisfy them.
So it's a fairly low amount of money that they would get in return for a reimbursement?
It's not a great deal. And I shouldn't say it's not a great deal. It might be a great deal to some families and not so much to others. But it depends on the mileage and so some things that go into it. I'd be happy to put that together and send it to the superintendent. She can forward it on.
Yeah, I've seen questions in the community, and I've received questions, so I think it would be something that, because it was brought up initially, there are community members that still have questions on it now.
Happy to do that.
Director Hackert?
Thank you. Going back to a previous comment about the safety of school walking and the no bus zone. So just, I'm trying to understand, are we not allowing walkers, or are we trying to discourage walkers? I guess I'm concerned about the safety of kids who don't have an option to get a
We're
ride
leaving that up
school.
to parents to make that decision, but we're calling it a no bus zone. There is information from the Minnesota Department of Transportation that families can go to. There's like walking bus programs, things like that. So we'll see if we can collect all of that information, get that out to families.
Is there any opportunity for like PTAs possibly to get involved, or are they not allowed to help in this capacity?
Yeah, PTAs are more than welcome to get involved with that.
Okay, thank you.
Director Sherman?
You mentioned the hubs, that was one of the part of the strategies. I'm hearing declining transportation if you can, and then the hubs. And then you also just mentioned maybe extending some staff work hours to encourage our own staff to drive buses, I'm assuming. Can you talk a little bit more about that? And is that preliminary? actually being encouraged, or?
We will be meeting with different employee groups, and there might be, for instance, custodians. And if we can shift their hours before or after and still have them get their requirements to the job done, a few of them might be able to do a run in the morning or a run in the afternoon. So we will explore that with the employee groups and see if anybody has interest and if that might be a possibility while still addressing the needs at the schools.
Great.
Okay, anything else? Okay, thank you very much.
I just had one more. This is
sorry.
minor. I know we had last time, I think you had canceled, we had said that all middle school sports and activity transportation would be canceled. Is that still the case? Or have we gotten any updates on if away
Yes.
teams could come here, or?
We have reached out, our athletic department has reached out to other teams, and a few of the teams have been able to come to our district instead of the away games. They came to us, but no decisions have been made for the winter sports. This is just fall right now.
Okay, thank you very much for that report.
Okay, thank you.
All right, that brings us to open forum. We're making a slight change with open forum tonight. Rather, you probably see that there's no podium in the room. And so when we call your name, we're going to ask you to come up and sit at that seat right over there that Director Salmon was in just a little bit ago to give her presentation. When the school board was at City Hall, everything sort of happened at the podium. Presentations by directors, administrators, and then also open forum happened at the podium. But now that we have this arrangement, you can see that, you know, we mostly have these presentations happening at the table with us. So it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to have our community members standing at a podium. You might as well just come up and speak to us. So that is kind of the plan that we have for right now. So those who wish to speak to the school board will be able to do so during open forum. You must sign up to speak. You may sign up only for yourself, not other individuals or groups. Sign up will be available electronically the week of a board meeting, beginning at 8 a.m. on Monday and closing at 4 p.m. on Wednesday. You will receive a notification upon submitting your online form. Due to time limitations, we will limit the number of speakers to 15 who may speak for 3 minutes each. If you spoke at the last meeting, you may sign up to speak this week, but your name will be placed on a wait list. If speaking slots remain after the sign-up time ends, names from the wait list will be added to the speaking list in order of the time that individuals signed up. You will be notified if you are scheduled to speak. When your name is called, please be seated at the board table and state your name and address, including town, before you begin your remarks. Please pay attention to the timer, who will hold up cards indicating when you are approaching the end of your time. When time is called, you may finish your sentence. After you address the board, please leave the table. Stillwater Area Public Schools, District 834, welcomes input from citizens as community involvement on the issues facing our district fosters better decision-making and improved learning experiences for all students. While comments and questions are welcome during open forum, law prohibits the board from discussing concerns about individual employees or students in a public meeting. We will stop the proceedings immediately if employee or student privacy issues are raised and direct the speaker to forward comments regarding individual employees or students to the superintendent. We welcome discussion of the issues, but will not tolerate the targeting of individual staff or students by name, position, or implication. Because we are modeling civil discourse for our community, speakers must present their testimony in a respectful manner. Vulgarity, character attacks, or malice will not be tolerated. The board will not deliberate, discuss, or engage in conversation with speakers during open forum. However, the board may ask administration to review the concerns presented. Our first speaker tonight is Rachel Smeltzer.
Good evening, Board of Education members and Superintendent Lansfeld. My name is Rachel Schmeltzer, and I teach at Oakland Middle School. I am here with my colleagues to share some highlights of our first few weeks back at Oakland Middle School. I want to be clear, our staff loves being back in the building with our students every day. Oakland is alive and buzzing with all the sights and smells of middle school. Our year kicked off with an exciting web orientation, Where Everyone Belongs, in which 8th grade leaders energetically welcomed 6th graders back to school, giving tours of the building, supporting them in opening their lockers, and gently and patiently helping calm their nerves. Recently, our 6th graders got to participate in a book tasting in which the 6th grade English language arts teachers, decked out in their chef hats and aprons, laid out tablecloths and electric tea lights, and set out books for students to taste and see if they were interested in reading them. A truly innovative way to increase student engagement. Student leaders with special needs are preparing for life beyond the classroom and are organizing and running a daily coffee cart. Our 8th graders are showing our younger students the Oakland way, making thoughtful choices and modeling what being a positive and contributing member of our community looks like. We have seen that students are so excited to be back at school, that they are working hard and they have a real thirst for knowledge. Students are advocating for their learning needs, are asking great questions, and are making us laugh every day. We are excited to be able to offer a broad range of co-curriculars again, including chamber choir, jazz band, chamber orchestra, the Wrinkle in Time theatrical production, sports, and after-school clubs. Going through challenging times with COVID has shown all of us the gift of being together to work, learn, grow, and play. We have learned the importance of innovation as a counter to COVID's countless disruptions. We love our students and families, our school, and our community, which is why we must pass both the upcoming renewal and technology levies. If we fail to do so, our district as we know it will be left unrecognizable. Countless student opportunities will be lost. Class sizes will increase to unmanageable levels, and over 100 of our 575 teachers across the district will lose their jobs. As a community, Pony Pride involves shared opportunities and shared responsibilities. Please show your Pony Pride by voting yes on the levy. Our kids deserve your support. Thank you.
Eric Anderson.
Board Chair Petrie, members of the board, my name is Eric Anderson, Oak Park Heights. I recently had the privilege of walking alongside Brookview Principal Chris Rogers, his staff, and his students during the first 2 days of school on September 7th and September 8th. This powerful experience served as an important reminder of why I became a public educator. And I wanted to share with you the top 10 things I observed. Walking into the building, I encountered a rainbow mosaic of inspiring and encouraging chalk messages from Brookview PTA covering the sidewalks. Staff gathering prior to the start of the day for their first staff meeting, bringing their We Are Brookview heart sets, mindsets, and skill sets. Parents dropping off their most precious resources, their children, with a high degree of confidence. The exquisite care and detail given to setting up each classroom, creating safe, highly engaging, and rigorous learning spaces for all Brookview scholars. The kindness, care, and limitless patience the preschool staff showed as Brookview's youngest learners found their lockers, put backpacks away, and brought their knacks into their new classrooms. Watching Deborah and Tracy, two truly gifted administrative assistants, juggle dozens of tasks and questions simultaneously without missing a beat. Brookview staff gracefully tackling the complexity of the first day of parent pickup to ensure that all Brookview students made it home safely. The care with which staff identified and connected with those first day students appearing to have that deer in headlights look. And finally, watching Dr. Rogers, Brookview's principal, employ his by any means necessary approach to seeing all, serving all, and supporting all of his Brookview students, families, and staff. Thank you, Dr. Rogers, Brookview staff, students, families, and the entire Brookview community for the very important reminder that when we approach our current challenges with a solution focus and keep the main thing, our students, the main thing, that the possibilities are truly limitless. Thank you.
Jessica Johnson.
Jessica Johnson, Oak Street, Stillwater. Our family moved here in 2013, and one of the reasons we chose Stillwater was the above-average school ratings. With 4 children, I've had an extensive experience with the schools of Lily Lake, Stillwater Middle and High School. As a busy working mother, I felt comfortable in trusting the district with educating my children. We do our due diligence in at home, reading to our children every evening, following up on homework, reading the ridiculous amount of school communications, and attending school conferences. I've had my fair share of frustrations over the years. The most abhorrent of them all, however, is the lack of accountability taught to the students. I can't even count the number of times I've experienced homework due dates extended, quizzes and tests allowed to be retaken when a student does poorly, rules such as no phones not being upheld, or being upheld in some classes and not others. I suppose with this knowledge, I should not have been surprised to see that the board itself is not accountable to their very own rules, which leads me to believe the problems we are having with student achievement are a direct reflection of the poor leadership, and it starts here. You talk about leadership, but you don't hold yourselves accountable to the board rules. I can't be certain that the administration and teachers are held accountable to the rules put in place in regards to curriculum either. If a child doesn't have to do their homework, how do you expect them to do well on tests? If you know in advance that they will be allowed to retake an exam, what pushes them to prepare? They're children. They'll avoid discomfort when able. If a child is allowed to be distracted by their phone or is constantly being pushed onto a Chromebook, how can you expect their focus to be on learning? If a parent tells their child that they must complete their work on the original due date and the teachers are constantly conflicting, how can the child be held accountable when there's no unified front or clarity? These problems existed long before COVID, which the union-selected board members and administrative staff have repeatedly used to manipulate the data to excuse the poor testing outcomes. Community members that aren't paying attention don't see that the scores have been on a steady decline since they granted the district millions in the last levy. I would argue that this administration is lying by omitting those very important stats. Another example of inconsistencies of the union-selected board and admin is that they argue the CDC guidelines for COVID with their tyrannical mask mandates for babies through middle schoolers, but conveniently never mention or address their disregard for the CDC's 1 to 2 hour max per day screen time recommendation. I am guessing I'm going to run out of time here, so I'm going to skip down here to the bottom since my last week has been taken up. We need to set clear guidelines, goals, and implement a plan to get there. Lead by example. You talk about collaborating, but are always quick to support any union-selected board member and ostracize Tina and any constituent who speaks out against union-backed policies and objections and questions your stance. That is why today I'm stepping up as a leader and offering my name to be written in as a school board candidate this November 2nd against the unopposed Pete Kelsenberg.
Heidi Adam.
Good evening. My name is Heidi Adam. I live in West Lakeland. I'm a parent of 2 children in the Stillwater schools. I'm a resident of the Stillwater School District. The Union 5 have just recently allowed the board chair, Bev Petrie, to unilaterally assign new arbitrary rules to the open forum procedure. This comes on the heels of community members speaking at the open forum to critique the district decision-making and promising to vote no on the upcoming levy. It is now up to the district to let us know who has made the list and who has not, removing all transparency. Recent union meetings encouraged teacher union members to sign up for the open forum spots in support of the tax increase levy in order to prevent community members from speaking up and to create a perception of wide community support. An all call has been put out for the retired union members to make an appearance as well. You'll likely see some snazzy advertising and high-quality marketing videos put together by the Valley Parent and Community Network trying to compel you to vote yes to the levy. It's for the kids, they'll say. More money equals better education, they'll say. That Parent and Community Network is largely funded by, guess who? The Teachers Union. They've contributed nearly $7,000, which is what we know of at this point. Knowing all that we know, does one really think this time it will go to the kids? The administration and the Union 5 have already repeatedly said this levy increase is just to maintain the status quo. While focusing on manipulating taxpayers is apparently a top priority for the union, the 2021 third grade reading proficiency rate is now at an all-time low of 51%. Experts tell us that a child's third grade reading level is a strong indicator of their success as an educated adult. It's why the state of Minnesota tracks and created legislation around this very specific benchmark. Raise your hand if you find the status quo unacceptable. So when is it enough money? What if they asked for $25 million a year? How about $50 million a year? Do we, the taxpayers, keep writing blank checks with no accountability? No, thank you. The district needs a wake-up call. We are not happy. Our grandparents and our great-grandparents got an amazing education in a one-room schoolhouse with very little funding. It is possible. As a society, we have increased education funding time after time, and the results are worse and worse. I'm voting a hard no for the kids. We've given it time, we've shown up, we've written, we've volunteered, we've been patient, we've been impatient, we've been loud, we've been quiet. We've campaigned, we voted yes, we've done it all. The kids are still not being served nor educated properly. One can estimate around $900 million in 834 alone over the last 8 years hasn't resulted in the most basic skill, literacy. You give all this a pass? I don't. Thank you.
Brian Lee.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me. I'm Brian Lee, a Lake Elmo parent. I guess I wanted to go through 3 things. I don't have a fiery speech intended for you. I just wanted to say a couple of things. Number 1, thank you all for serving in such a tumultuous time and how difficult this and divided this community is right now. I know it's not easy, so thank you for doing it. Number 2, electronic sign-up has been beneficial to somebody like me. I would not have the time to come to every one of these meetings due to the nature of the work that I do. Being able to sign up in advance allowed me to plan for this and be able to make sure that I was able to attend and get to address you all, so thank you for that. And finally, I would vote yes on both questions for the levy. I think losing teachers right now is just a fool's errand. It doesn't make any sense to us. And then secondly, I wanted to talk about the technology levy in particular. So I'm a network engineer, been doing this for about 25 years. Have a background and a pulse on what's going on in the cyber criminal world as well, and they're targeting school districts. The thing that they love most is outdated software, outdated hardware. It makes an easy opportunity. So I understand we're one of the only districts in the area without a technology levy, and that seems a little bit silly in the year 2021, sorry. So I would highly encourage you to do the basic thing. The schools districts are being targeted by ransomware attacks. Doing these things will help. It's like locking your front door, purchasing new equipment, new software, new hardware. If you leave the house and you lock your front door, the first opportunity a criminal has is gonna come turn your doorknob. If that doesn't open, he's not gonna be able to get into your house, and he might move on to the next opportunity. Having outdated equipment, outdated licensing provides ample opportunity for these people to come in the back door and expose our family's information, expose us to financial liabilities. So anyways, I'll sum it up by saying yes. I vote yes. Thanks.
Jenny Hanlon.
Hello, thank you for letting me be here. I'm here to highlight the programs at the Early Childhood Family Center and the preschools within the elementary buildings. I'm excited to share with you some of the wonderful things that have been happening within our program. Thank you for your continued support and for allowing me to share with you tonight. Some people may not know that early childhood from birth to age 5 is a big part of the work our school district does. Early childhood works with children from the very youngest ages when families have just brought their babies home all the way until they go off to kindergarten. During the COVID-19 pandemic, early childhood has found many new and creative ways to adjust to difficult circumstances. Staff have done countless online Zoom sessions, offered online classes to parents, and moderated Facebook groups. Special education staff put on snow pants in the winter and sunscreen on hot days to meet little ones for sessions outdoors in every kind of weather. We provided outdoor classes for families last year when many families weren't ready to meet indoors yet. Due to the wonderful response from families, we have continued to provide a variety of outdoor learning opportunities. This will actually be highlighted as a model in a new booklet being published by the Minnesota Department of Ed on early childhood outdoor learning, as well as in a webinar MDE is offering on outdoor learning next week. Many families and children are able to be back in the Early Childhood Family Center, coming to classes and therapy sessions again. You can see the smiles on the faces of the kids and the grown-ups who are so happy to be back with their teachers, playing with their friends in our beautiful building and on our wonderful playground. Families and parents have told us how important it is for them to meet other parents, to have their children meet new friends, and develop new skills. In our Birth to 3 program, we see children in their natural learning environments. We go to people's homes, child care centers, home child cares, parks, really anywhere where children are with their families. It is always wonderful to be with families and hear from them firsthand how much they appreciate the support. Being the parent of a child with delays or special needs can be challenging, and through our program, families have access to teachers, occupational therapists, physical therapists, speech therapists, and parent and family educators. Many parents have said, especially this last year, how grateful they are for the help and how excited they are when they see their little ones growing, learning, and making progress. We are often the first connection that parents have with teachers from the Stillwater schools in our district. We are here to prepare children and families for the future, as well as helping families adjust to our new world. It is a privilege and to be able to introduce parents to the wonderful things our district has to offer. We are so fortunate in this district to have a truly amazing space and amazing educators to serve our families and little ones in early childhood. I forgot to say I'm Jenny Hanlon, Stillwater, Minnesota. Thank you.
Sandy Hayner. Sandy Hayner.
Hello, friends. Sandy Hayner, Stillwater, Minnesota. So in June, this board majority pursued 2 non-voter approved levies. One of them was $825,000 for QComp. QComp stands for Quality Compensation and was enacted in 2005 as a volunteer program allowing local districts and representatives of teachers to design and collectively bargain a plan that meets 4 very specific elements of QComp law. Number 1, career and ladder advancement opportunities. 2, job-embedded professional development. 3, teacher evaluation. 4, performance pay and alternative salary schedule. Stillwater receives $1.4 million from the state in QComp basic aid. This non-voter approved levy would be extra. At that meeting, board member Weisberg said she was concerned the boards don't know what these dollars would be going towards. She was supportive of the performance pay as increase for a job well done. Board Member Riley expressed frustration at being blocked from QComp meetings and didn't feel right taxing citizens without consent, especially in something that none of us have any say in. Board Members Sherman and Hockert said professional development provided by QComp was critical for literacy and academic achievement. It's necessary to elevate achievement in our schools, and they praised professional development, often called PD, as necessary for new curriculum training and best practices. QComp PD would push for high-achieving students and staff, you said. Board Chair Petrie is so excited about the opportunities teachers get through PD. She said teachers need training to become the best kind of person in front of a classroom, and that PD has a greater impact on any other thing that happens in our classrooms. She urged support. Deb Van Cly, QComp lead, and Josiah Hill Union president recently put together a presentation for some teachers and administration to explain a very exciting opportunity they could dive into with these new expected QComp dollars, and that is social justice. So there was this slide, I forgot the real printout, but I'll leave it there, was used in the presentation. It's called Comprehensive Unionism. These three circles are labeled: industrial, pertaining to the bargaining, right, and job security, then professional, commonly where you'd categorize the professional development, and then there's this third circle, social justice, down here. The presenters explained that they want to expand beyond food shelves and volunteering in the community, and they want to follow the lead of national teachers unions to lean into more state and national social justice efforts. They're working on more teacher buy-in, so heads up. So what do the national teachers unions place as a high priority? This summer, they convened to vote on these initiatives: targeting CRT opposition, fighting period poverty, supporting Palestine, opposing immigration laws, incorporate CRT and BLM by name, those organizations into K-12 classrooms, dismantling police unions, simultaneously helping create a union for Amazon workers, and on and on. Curiously missing from the agenda even one single thing pertaining to academic achievement. Is it right to use non-voter approved levy dollars to promote what the local or national unions view as social justice, especially when we're told these dollars were supposed to be benefiting academics for our students? When will students ever become the #1 priority in this district again? This board either lied to us or you were deceived yourselves, and either way, I don't trust you, and I'll be voting no till you change the way you do business. And my final thought, your 10th speaker won't be here tonight because you failed her again. You changed all kinds of rules and policies on the fly when you didn't like a vote no message, but no word on how you intend to deal with the violent man who committed a 5th-degree assault on 2 people in this meeting. You did not offer any security for anyone in this room. Your time is up. But you changed policies about open forum. Time is up. Priorities, clearly on display.
Dee Dee Armstrong. Dee Dee Armstrong. Sorry. I thought it was loud, sorry.
You gotta deal with teenagers to know loud. Dee Dee Armstrong, Afton. I have about 10,000 reasons why I will be voting no to your levy. Number 1, you literally take taxpayer money without voter approval through lease levies. Number 2, the last time voters gave the district money, the district spent more than double what the voters approved on a bus garage when the school district doesn't even own buses or employ drivers. Number 3, the current board and administration only respects certain portions of the public. Number 4, 70% of the homes in this district do not have children that attend these district schools. They're empty nesters, they're choosing other schools, they're on fixed incomes. It's not very equitable to ask 70% to support the 30%. Number 5, I don't trust this board or administration at all. Number 6, in 2011, before the last levy, there were 8 director positions in administration. By the time of the bond, which was in 2015, there were 11 directors and pay raises to amount to $700,000 for administration. Priorities. Number 7, community respect. Say what you will about Superintendent Pontrelli, but she didn't show disdain for the public. Whatever your thoughts are on Mike Potacek, Jennifer Pelletier, or Tom Lehman, they didn't try to silence or disrespect the public who were trying to speak. If they had differing opinions, that's no longer the case. Trust has been broken. Number 8, speaking of pay, I'm a no vote because of spending. This board and administration and teachers union have shown no ability to put the community's scarce resources ahead of pocketbooks of union members, administrators, or construction firms. Number 9, and that brings up the teachers union. This board majority was financially backed and endorsed by the teachers union. Yet, when union members and union-backed boards speak, they speak about how happy students are and how happy we are to be back in buildings and happy love, love, love. But nobody's jumping up and down about the literacy rates that we have here. This is a problem. Year after year after year, the literacy rates in this district have fallen. They say that this levy is for the kids, but I don't understand how it can be. How are teachers union members not jumping up and down about literacy? It could not possibly be that it's about money now and retirement funds, could it? No. Because the biggest predictor of people who end up in jail is literacy rate. So a low literacy rate leads to higher incarceration rates. And the Minnesota Teachers Union Pension Fund invests in private prisons. So maybe it's by design that this union-backed board and teachers union and administration find low literacy rates acceptable because it helps to pay for retirement.
Dawn Beavers.
Dawn Beavers, Baytown Township, Minnesota, but only for 9 more months. Thank goodness. We have chosen to sell our house in this district that we custom built in order to leave this district because we are tired of paying for a private school for a child that was not served by this school district. I will be voting no on your levy and on your technology levy. And I'm giving permission to every person in this district to do the same. You can vote no if you simply don't want higher taxes. Our taxes are ridiculous. And if you pull up your tax rate, they are mainly schools. Those are failing schools because we've accepted lower standards. So you can vote no if you don't accept the low standards of this district. It is okay for you to vote no if you want this board and this administration to increase literacy, not continue decreasing it. It is okay to vote no if you think this board and this administration has not been responsible with their spending. It's okay that just now we have approval to park buses that we don't own in a bus garage that's several years old. It is okay to vote no if you are upset because this board decided after community input to mask pre-K through 8th grade in our schools. It is okay to vote no if you are upset that the teachers union in this district has hired their bosses and then that money gave them the pay raises that they couldn't get any other way. And additionally, they have also asked for their teachers to show up and take your spot as community members in speaking to this board. They are also funding this levy. You can also vote no if you are upset that this board continues to limit community free speech. In the last meeting, the board chair tried to have people removed from this building for sitting quietly and holding signs, but refused to remove a man who physically pushed someone, and that's because those people are the ones that supported them through their campaign, handing out signs for them and are doing the same for this levy. Ask yourself, what are the priorities of this district? And finally, it is okay to vote no if your child is not served by this district. Every private school and every charter school in this district will get 0 funds. So if your child does not go to a Stillwater public school, it is okay to vote no. I certainly will be.
Megan Greeter.
Megan Greeter, Hugo, Minnesota. I just thought I'd spend my time up here giving a brief history for those who are unfamiliar with the district's history. It also might be helpful to those who say they just can't figure out why anyone would vote no on a levy. In 2013, voters approved a $12 million levy. This meant we were taxed $12 million for 8 years. That levy is expiring soon. That levy campaign promised a bridge to excellence, foreign language in all schools, and school security. At the time, the third grade reading proficiency was 74%. That means 74% of third graders could get at least a 50% on the standardized reading test. Not long after the levy approval, the district cut paras and special needs nurses, claiming the levy wasn't enough. Curiously, in the following years, administrative spending and consulting costs soared. In 2015, the district asked for a $97 million bond to improve all schools, build the PAC in a new elementary school in Woodbury. The community approved that one too. Soon after that approval, the district switched gears and decided to close 3 elementary schools in order to save $1.2 million. The administration intends to take over one of those schools, this one, Oak Park, for themselves after spending $7 million in renovations, of course. By this point, third grade reading proficiency had dropped to 66%. Irate with the tax increase, bait and switch, citizens took the district to court, where the district successfully argued that the law allows them right to make campaign promises which they have no obligation to fulfill. This law has not been changed, and to date, no sitting member of the administration has publicly denounced the bond betrayal, and that's concerning. In 2018, the district spent $7 million on a bus garage that is now tied up in a lawsuit. We spent more than a year paying $40,000 a month to rent an alternate bus storage location for buses we don't even own. In 2019, 834 sold Marine Elementary for $890,000 for the entire school. Now they plan to spend $7 million to add 8 classrooms to a brand new school. By now, the third grade reading rate had fallen to a shocking 58%. In 2020, the teachers union injected thousands of dollars into the school board race. They wanted their interests to be elevated at the board table above those of the community, the ones who fund this entire enterprise. They were successful, and now we have the Union 4 up here. One of the first orders of business for the union's hand-picked school board was to give the union a raise that was 3 times that which was affordable. Since the passage of the 2013 levy, staff spending has increased by nearly 28%. Here we are now with a third grade reading rate of a devastating 51%, an academic decline of 23%. So much for that bridge to excellence. This district went on a spending spree after the last levy and left the kids behind. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, I don't think so.
Lisa Williams.
I'm here to talk about masks, can you tell? I saw the Lisa Williams, Lakeland, Minnesota. I just want to read to what the governor is requesting, and I'm sure you've heard since you've been meeting with the Minnesota Department of Education. This isn't new. But I have real concerns of how these recommendations are going to continue to harm our children, because it's abusive to ask them to wear masks all day. And I am going to state something. Based on the policy in this district, non-vaccinated people need to be wearing masks. And I find it quite interesting that the majority of you who work for the district wear masks. The governor is looking to have kids kept safely for learning, but he is including isolation and quarantines again. Participation in testing, masking, as well as other mitigation strategies. You've heard me speak, and I was criticized speaking to adolescent suicide in this room because it referred to my granddaughter's friend, not someone in this district. But I'm going to hit home again that you're harming our children with these masks. I will be here out in front of these buildings if you go along with this governor and allow testing in our buildings. These buildings are for education. You all sit here and talk about how you want your students to be safe. Everything's about safety. You're scaring them. You're hurting the little ones. don't do it. Don't do any more than what you're already doing. I read the newsletter. I'm going to switch because I have a few items tonight about the literacy. And I think it was very disingenuous that this administration that has been running grade schools for a long time, who clearly is part of the problem with the literacy, and is now in charge of our district, and can't promise a better literacy rate without more money. It's always about money, and it's sad. I have teachers in my family. I talk to them. I know these kids aren't up to date. My brother has a 5th grade class. He told his principal he thought he should be teaching 3rd grade right now. No, they'll catch up. Don't worry. Don't worry. They're not going to catch up. And we're not doing anything to make a difference other than begging for money. And before I
Your
walk
time is
away,
up. Your time is up.
I don't know
Your
this new
time is
board
up.
member, and I don't know the person
Your
who
time
interviewed.
is up.
Your comments were unacceptable, and I hope she gets herself an attorney, but you should probably step
Your
down.
time is up. Kate Neiman. Kate Neiman. Oh, okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, Directors, Superintendent Lansfeld, my name is Kate Neiman. I reside in Stillwater Township. I have a son who is a graduate of Stillwater High School, and thank you for the opportunity to let me speak tonight. When my son was a 7th grader, he joined the pony swim team. The character development, the discipline, the competitive drive he learned while on this team will influence his identity for the rest of his life. As a team, the boys historically placed 4th or 5th at state, a status predestined, largely because of the size of our program. His junior year, my son competed in 3 state events, 2 individual events and a relay. Being the mom who wanted to have the right words to say when he returned home the night after finals, just in case the results were disappointing, I asked him, of the possible outcomes tonight, what is the one thing that is most important to you? His response, I want the team to break 3rd. The power in that response for a kid whose everything was about swimming. He put the win of the team before his own. This is what Stillwater athletics do for kids. This is something MCA scores don't measure. His final year, one of the other senior boys was new to the team, a young man who was blind. The challenges were obvious, and the coach knew the student had very limited opportunity to experience being on a team. He also knew it was a golden opportunity for the rest of the boys to practice inclusivity. Again, MCA scores don't measure this. After finishing his senior season, we were in a restaurant when I got the question, Mom, can I try a beer? I could only thinly disguise my surprise that this might actually be his first. Oh, he said, Coach would never tolerate drinking. Abstinence is something else the MCA scores won't measure. Attending Stillwater was not a perfect journey, not by any measure. But beyond any doubt, what was gained by being on the boys' swim team is unique to this district. And I hope it is an opportunity that is never taken away. please do everything in your power to keep athletic programs available to students. Thank you.
Jason Peterson.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jason Peterson. I live in Woodbury. First, I want to take the opportunity, or second, to thank you for the opportunity to speak. I want to express my gratitude for improving the sign-up process because as a working parent, I find it challenging to budget time to attend meetings. And even tonight, I had an emergency at work that I found at times I was not going to be able to make it. So I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate the sign-in process. I hope it continues to evolve and get better over time. So as district parents, I believe it's our job to work with the schools and the school district to support children's futures. Right now, the best way I think we can do that is by voting yes on the renewal of the operational levy and the new technology levies. These levies will provide resources that our district needs to expand educational programs, positively impact student achievement, protect us from cybersecurity attacks, and do so by providing proper and updated technology at the same time. My oldest child, my oldest child currently attends an elementary school in the district, and thanks to the wonderful teachers and staff, she is by all means excelling in every facet of schooling. It is a great sight to see her develop excellent relationships with her friends, watch how excited they are to go to school every day, and it makes me really happy to see her joy in being a pony. Seeing that love of learning along with her friends' enthusiasm also excites me to want to back these levies because I want to do what I can to support her further. I think our community should be eager to provide all the resources that it can to benefit every student in this district and keep their love of learning alive throughout their lifetime. I know I am, and I am excited and proud to vote yes for these levies. Thank you.
Natasha Fleischman. Natasha Fleischman. Okay, well, she was the 15th speaker tonight, so that brings us to the end of our meeting. This meeting is adjourned.